They fired him in front of everyone. 5 years of loyalty gone in 60 seconds because he stopped to help a pregnant woman in the rain. Ethan Cole didn't know that woman owned the entire company. He didn't know his boss had been stealing from her for months. All he knew was his 5-year-old daughter was waiting to hear about his promotion, and instead, he'd have to explain why Daddy got fired for being a hero. But sometimes the people you save come back to save you. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this. And comment below with your city. I love seeing how far these stories reach across the world. Now, let's jump in. Daddy's a hero because he got fired. That's what Lily Cole told her kindergarten teacher the morning after everything fell apart. And she wasn't wrong. But let's rewind 48 hours. Thursday morning, 5:47 a.m. Ethan Cole's alarm didn't go off because the power flickered during the night, and his backup phone was dead because Lily used it to watch princess videos before bed. He woke up in a panic. 13 minutes to get out the door. 13 minutes before his entire day collapsed. "Lily, baby, we gotta move." His daughter appeared in the doorway. One sock on. Pajama top inside out. Hair defying all known laws of physics. "I can't find Mr. Whiskers." "Mr. Whiskers eats in the car. Where's your shoe?" "I don't know." "Where's your shoe?" Ethan looked down. Mismatched socks. He hadn't even noticed. The toaster burned. The coffee maker exploded with a pop and a puff of smoke that smelled like burning plastic. "Are we poor?" Lily asked. "We're not poor, baby. We're between coffee makers. Miss Jenny's mom has one that talks." Ethan bit back the response. Miss Jenny's mom didn't spend her savings on medical bills from a wife who died 2 years ago. Miss Jenny's mom wasn't one missed shift from eviction. "We're doing fine," he lied. "They weren't fine. But that's what you tell your daughter when her world depends on you holding it together." He threw on a tie. Found one shoe, gave up. Pink rain boots it is. 2 granola bars in Lily's backpack. They ran through the rain to his 15-year-old Honda that coughed twice before starting. "I love our car," Lily said, buckling in. "It sounds like a dinosaur. A very tired dinosaur." 43 minutes until the meeting. The promotion meeting. Assistant Director of Operations. Real money. Health insurance. A future. Richard Sterling had been hinting for weeks. This was it. This was everything. "You're gonna do great today, Daddy." "How do you know?" "Because you're the best daddy in the whole world." Ethan's chest tightened. That's what Sarah used to say. "You're the best, Ethan. You help people. That's who you are." 29 minutes now. He could make it. Then he saw her. A woman. Heavily pregnant. Standing beside a dead car on Highway 65. Rain soaking through her coat. Hand on her belly. Cars flying past like she didn't exist. Ethan's hands gripped the wheel. The meeting. The promotion. Lily's future. But Sarah's voice. "You help people." And Lily. From the back seat. "Daddy, that lady needs help." Ethan pulled over. "Stay in the car. Lock the doors." He ran through the rain. The woman looked up exhausted, scared. "Are you okay?" "My car died. I'm 8 months pregnant. Doctor's appointment in 20 minutes. I can't get a signal." She pressed her side. "I think I'm having contractions." Ethan's heart kicked. "Hospital, now. My car's right there." "I don't know you." "I'm Ethan Cole. That's my daughter Lily. We're good people, but we need to move." Something in his face convinced her. She nodded. He got her in the passenger seat, cranked the heat. "I'm Grace," she said through a contraction. "Grace Whitmore." The name meant nothing to Ethan. It should have. "Let's get you safe, Grace." He drove fast. Hospital 18 minutes away. Meeting in 9 minutes. The math was brutal. He was going to be late. Maybe fired late. But Grace was gripping the door, breathing hard, and none of that mattered. "You're gonna be okay. Both of you." Lily piped up. "Are you having a baby right now?" "I hope not." Grace gasped, then laughed. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily Marie Cole. I'm 5. My daddy's a hero." Grace met Ethan's eyes. "I can see that. Thank you. Really." Ethan dropped her at the ER. Made sure nurses had her. Left before she could get his number. 9:27 a.m. when he burst into Fresh Mart headquarters. Soaking wet. Tie crooked. Hair plastered down. The conference room went silent. 12 people staring. Richard Sterling sat at the head of the table, arms crossed, face like stone. But Ethan didn't know Richard had been waiting for this, praying for this. One mistake, one slip. That's all he needed. "Mr. Cole, how kind of you to join us." "I'm so sorry. There was an emergency." "There's always an emergency with you." Richard stood. "Last month your daughter was sick. Before that, car trouble. Before that, a doctor's appointment. You know what I see? A man who doesn't respect this company." "That's not fair. I helped a pregnant woman." "I don't care if you helped the Pope. You were supposed to be here." Richard's voice rose. "You know what I've been waiting for you to screw up. 5 years of your sob stories about your dead wife and sick kid. I'm done." The room gasped. Ethan's fists clenched. "Richard, please. I'm a single father." "You're fired. Effective immediately. Jenkins, call security." "You can't do this." "I just did. Get him out of my sight." 2 security guards appeared. Ethan didn't fight. He walked past cubicles where people looked away. Past the break room where he'd celebrated 5 birthdays without Sarah. Past his desk with Lily's picture. They handed him a box. Coffee mug. Photo frame. 3 pens. 5 years in a cardboard box. He sat in his car, called Mrs. Chen, his neighbor who saved him when things went wrong. "I need a favor." "Anything, honey." "I got fired. Can you get Lily from school? I need an hour to figure out what to tell her." Silence. Heavy with sympathy. "Of course. Ethan, I'm so sorry." He hung up. Rain tapped the windshield like a clock counting down. No job. Rent due in 12 days. Lily's medication $200 a month. Car needs brakes. Phone bill overdue. He'd been fired for helping someone. Ethan didn't cry. He'd stopped crying 2 years ago when Sarah's heart gave out at 2 a.m., and he held her hand until the paramedics said there was nothing they could do. He'd cried then. For weeks. But he'd promised her he'd be strong for Lily. So he swallowed it. The grief. The fear. The rage. He picked up Lily at 4. She climbed in with a rainbow painting. "I made this for you because you were sad about the coffee maker." His heart cracked. "It's beautiful, baby." "Did you get the promotion?" He could lie. He was good at lying to protect her. But Sarah always said, "Don't teach her the world is kinder than it is. Teach her to be kind anyway." "No, sweetheart, I don't work there anymore." Lily's face went through emotions, confusion, worry, then pride. "Is it because you helped that lady?" "Yeah." "Then you're a hero. Heroes get fired sometimes. That's okay." Ethan pulled over, turned to look at his daughter. She had Sarah's eyes, Sarah's unshakable belief that goodness mattered. "You really think so?" "I know so. Miss Jenny's dad is a firefighter and he's a hero. You helped a lady have a baby. You're a hero too." "I didn't help her have the hero." Lily crossed her arms. Case closed. Ethan laughed despite everything. "Okay, I'm a hero." "Exactly. Now can we have McDonald's?" "Baby, we can't afford. Heroes eat chicken nuggets. It's a rule." So they went. $12 they didn't have. Happy Meals and the ball pit. Lily shrieking with joy like her world hadn't just tilted sideways. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Ethan Cole?" A woman's voice. Familiar. Yeah. Who's this? Grace. Grace Whitmore. The woman you helped. I had to track down your license plate through the DMV. Please don't be mad. I needed to thank you. Ethan's breath caught. Is the baby okay? False alarm. Braxton Hicks. Scared me to death. But we're fine, because of you. Her voice softened. You saved us, Ethan. I want to repay that. You don't owe me anything. I'm just glad you're safe. I'd like to meet you. Coffee. Tomorrow if you can. I need to thank you properly. Ethan almost said no. He had 1,000 things to do. Resume. Unemployment. Keep the lights on. But something in Grace's voice reminded him of Sarah. Stubborn kindness. Okay, coffee sounds good. They set it for Saturday. Brewed awakening downtown. Lily ran over breathless. Can we come back tomorrow? We'll see. That means no. That means we'll see. She hugged him. I love you, Daddy, even if you're unemployed. Where'd you learn that word? Miss Jenny. Her dad was unemployed once. Then he became a firefighter. Maybe you can too. Maybe, baby. That night after Lily fell asleep, Ethan sat with his laptop and a beer he couldn't afford, opened his resume, stared at the screen. How do you explain 5 years of loyalty ending in public humiliation? His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. This is Grace. I forgot to say you're a good man. Ethan Cole. The world needs more people like you. Ethan read it 3 times, closed the laptop, went to bed. He didn't know Grace wasn't just grateful. She was furious. A man saved her life and got punished for basic human decency. Unacceptable. So Grace Whitmore spent the evening making calls, asking questions, digging into Freshmart's corporate structure, following threads. Because here's what Ethan didn't know yet. Grace Whitmore wasn't just some pregnant woman having a bad day. She was the founder and majority shareholder of Whitmore Enterprises, the parent company that owned Freshmart, which meant Richard Sterling, in his infinite arrogance, had just publicly fired an employee for helping his actual boss, and Grace Whitmore had very specific plans for what happened next. She pulled up Richard Sterling's file. 5 years as regional manager, decent performance reviews. But something felt off. The numbers didn't quite add up. She made a call. Martin, it's Grace. I need a full audit on Freshmart's Springfield division. Every transaction, every approval. I want to know where every dollar went for the last 3 years. Grace, you're 8 months pregnant. You should be resting. I'll rest when I'm dead. Get me that audit. She hung up, opened her laptop, started digging. Because if Richard Sterling thought he could destroy a good man and walk away clean, he didn't know who he was dealing with. Grace Whitmore built her empire by rewarding loyalty and crushing cruelty. And Richard Sterling had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Saturday morning, Brewed Awakening Coffee Shop, downtown Springfield. Ethan arrived 10 minutes early, wearing his only good shirt that wasn't wrinkled. He'd dropped Lily at Mrs. Chen's with promises of ice cream later. Grace was already there. She looked different out of the rain. Composed, elegant, expensive coat. But her smile was warm when she saw him. Ethan, thank you for coming. Of course. How are you feeling? Much better. Sit, please. She gestured to the chair across from her. I ordered you a coffee. Black, right? You look like a black coffee person. That obvious? My father drank it black, said it kept him honest. Her eyes studied him. Tell me about yourself, Ethan. I want to know who risked his job to save a stranger. There's not much to tell. I'm just a guy trying to raise his daughter right. Just a guy. Grace smiled. How long were you at Freshmart? 5 years. Started in inventory. Worked my way up to operations coordinator. And they fired you for being late once. Ethan's jaw tightened. For being late because I helped you. Yeah. That's not right. No, it's not. But that's life, I guess. It doesn't have to be. Grace leaned forward. Ethan, I want to do something for you. A thank you. Let me help you find a new job. I have connections. I appreciate that, but I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's karma. You helped me. Let me help you. Ethan wanted to say no. Pride demanded it. But rent was due in 10 days, and Lily needed new shoes, and the Honda was making a sound that definitely meant expensive. Okay, he said quietly. Thank you. Grace smiled. But behind that smile, wheels were turning. She didn't tell Ethan she owned Freshmart. Not yet. She needed to see how deep the rot went. How many good people Richard Sterling had destroyed. I'll make some calls this week, Grace said. In the meantime, here's my number. Call me if you need anything. They finished their coffee, talked about Lily, about Grace's pregnancy. Normal things. Human things. When they parted ways, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope. Grace watched him walk away. Then she called Martin. Tell me you found something. Grace, you're not going to believe this. Try me. Richard Sterling has been skimming for 18 months. Fake vendor accounts, inflated invoices. He's stolen over $400,000. Grace's grip tightened on her phone. Does anyone else know? Not yet. He's been careful, but I found the pattern. Good. Don't tell anyone. I want everything documented. Every transaction, every signature, every lie. What are you planning? Grace smiled. Cold, calculated. Justice Martin. I'm planning justice. She hung up. Looked at her reflection in the coffee shop window. 8 months pregnant. Exhausted. Furious. Richard Sterling destroyed a good man to cover his own crimes. He was about to learn what happened when you crossed Grace Whitmore. Monday morning. Richard Sterling walked into his office like he owned the world, coffee in hand, smug smile on his face. He'd gotten rid of Ethan Cole. One less problem, one less witness to his creative accounting. His secretary buzzed. Mr. Sterling, there's a woman here to see you. Grace Whitmore from corporate. Richard's blood went cold. Grace Whitmore never visited regional offices. Never. She sent lackeys, messengers. Send her in. Grace walked through the door, pregnant, elegant, eyes like ice. Mr. Sterling, we need to talk. Richard stood, forcing a smile. Ms. Whitmore, this is unexpected. What can I do for you? You can start by explaining why you fired Ethan Cole. The room tilted. Excuse me. Ethan Cole, 5-year employee, fired last Thursday for being late. I'm curious about your reasoning. Richard's mind raced. How did she know he was chronically late? Bad employee. I made a judgment call. Chronically late. Interesting. Grace pulled out a folder. Because his file shows 5 years of perfect attendance. Glowing performance reviews. Multiple Employee of the Month awards. So when you say chronically late, are you lying or just incompetent? I don't appreciate your tone, and I don't appreciate you firing an employee for saving my life. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. What? Thursday morning. Highway 65. Pregnant woman. Dead car. That was me, Mr. Sterling. Ethan Cole stopped to help me. Made sure I got to the hospital safely. And because he did that, because he chose compassion over punctuality, you fired him in front of his colleagues. Richard's face went pale. So here's what's going to happen. Grace stepped closer. You're going to sit down. You're going to listen. And then you're going to start packing. You can't fire me. I own this company, Richard. I can do whatever I want. And right now I want you gone. But not just gone. I want you destroyed. She dropped the folder on his desk. He opened it. His face went from pale to gray. Bank statements, invoices, transaction records, every theft documented, every lie exposed. $417,000, Grace said softly. That's how much you've stolen. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? I can explain. I don't want explanations. I want you out. Security is waiting. You have 10 minutes to collect your personal items. Everything else stays. Grace, please. 10 minutes, or I call the police right now. Richard stumbled out of his office, past the cubicles, past the conference room where he'd destroyed Ethan Cole, past a future that no longer existed. Grace watched him go. Then she called Martin. It's done. File the criminal complaint. I want every charge that will stick. Grace, he'll go to prison. Good. Maybe he'll learn something about consequences. She hung up. Looked around Richard's office. 5 years Ethan Cole worked here. 5 years of loyalty rewarded with humiliation. That was about to change. Grace made another call. Tom, it's Grace. I need you to create a position. Director of Community Relations. Fresh Mart subsidiary. Real budget. Real authority. What's the salary range? Whatever it takes. I want the best person for the job. And who's that? Grace smiled. His name is Ethan Cole, and he's about to get a call that changes his life. Ethan was in his apartment updating his resume when his phone rang. Unknown number again. Hello. Ethan, it's Grace. Are you sitting down? Should I be? I have news, good news. There's a position opening at a company called Community Solutions. It's a Fresh Mart subsidiary. Director of Community Relations. They want to interview you. Grace, I don't understand. Just trust me. The interview is Wednesday, 9 a.m. Can you make it? Yes. Yes, I can make it. Good. Ethan, this is your chance. Don't let what Richard Sterling did define you. You're worth so much more. She hung up before he could ask questions. Ethan sat there. Resume forgotten. Heart pounding. Maybe the universe wasn't broken after all. Maybe good things really did happen to people who tried to do right. In his room, Lily was coloring. She looked up. Daddy? Why are you smiling? Because sometimes baby heroes do win. I told you, Lily said, returning to her rainbow. Heroes always win. That's the rule. And for the first time in 2 years, Ethan believed her. Wednesday morning arrived faster than Ethan expected. He stood outside the Community Solutions building at 8:45 a.m., wearing the same shirt he'd worn to meet Grace, freshly ironed this time. His palms were sweating. The building was glass and steel, modern, intimidating. Nothing like the warehouse-style Fresh Mart headquarters he'd known for 5 years. You got this, he whispered to himself. Sarah's voice in his head. You've always got this. The receptionist smiled when he walked in. Ethan Cole. That's me. They're ready for you. 3rd floor conference room B. The elevator ride felt like an eternity. When the doors opened, a woman in her 40s was waiting. Sharp suit, warm smile. Ethan, I'm Patricia Morgan, VP of Operations. Thank you for coming. She shook his hand firmly. Follow me. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Springfield. 3 people sat at the table. Patricia introduced them rapid fire. David Chen, HR Director. Amanda Rodriguez, Community Outreach Manager. And this is Thomas Whitmore, our CEO. Ethan's heart stuttered. Whitmore? Was he related to Grace? Thomas stood extending his hand. Late 50s. Kind eyes. Mr. Cole, I've heard good things about you. Thank you, sir. Please sit. Let's talk about why you're here. Ethan sat. His mind was racing. This felt too easy, too orchestrated. Patricia started. We've reviewed your employment history at Fresh Mart. 5 years, consistent performance, multiple commendations. Then an abrupt termination last week. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us what happened? Ethan took a breath. This was it. The moment that would define everything. I was driving to work. Important meeting. There was a pregnant woman stranded on the highway. Her car broke down. She was having contractions. I stopped to help her, got her to the hospital, made me late. My boss fired me for it. The room was silent. David Chen leaned forward. You were fired for helping someone in a medical emergency. Yes, sir. Oi. And you'd do it again. Ethan didn't hesitate. Every time. Thomas smiled. Actually smiled. That's exactly what we need here. I don't understand. Community Solutions isn't just a business, Mr. Cole, it's a philosophy. We partner with corporations to build programs that help people, real people, not just profit margins. Thomas slid a folder across the table. This is the Director of Community Relations position. Your job would be to identify needs in struggling communities and create solutions. Food programs, job training, mental health resources. You'd have a real budget and real authority to make change happen. Ethan opened the folder. The salary number made his breath catch. It was double what he'd made at Freshmart. This is too much, he said quietly. It's exactly what the position pays, Patricia said. We don't underpay people who do important work. But I don't have experience with this kind of thing. I coordinated inventory and shipping. Amanda spoke for the first time. You have something better than experience. You have heart. You stopped on a highway in the rain to save a stranger. That's not something we can teach. The pregnant woman, Ethan said slowly. Grace Whitmore, is she? My sister, Thomas said. She called me Thursday night from the hospital, told me what you did, how you risked your job without hesitation. She said you were exactly the kind of person we needed. The pieces clicked together. This wasn't just an opportunity. This was Grace keeping her promise. She set this up. She recommended you, Thomas corrected. But we did our homework, called your former colleagues. Every single one said the same thing. Ethan Cole is the guy you want on your team. Reliable, compassionate, the person who stays late to help others finish their work. Your termination wasn't a reflection of you, Mr. Cole. It was a reflection of Richard Sterling's character. Ethan's throat tightened. You know about Richard? We know everything about Richard, Patricia said, her voice cold. He's being investigated for embezzlement. $400,000 stolen over 18 months. He used his authority to hide it, and when good employees like you got too close or became inconvenient, he eliminated them. I never saw anything. That's because you were doing your job with integrity, but Richard noticed you, noticed how people trusted you. He couldn't risk you discovering what he was doing, so he waited for you to slip up. When you helped Grace, he finally got his chance. The rage Ethan had been swallowing for days surged up. He destroyed me because I was a threat. He destroyed himself, Thomas said firmly. You just survived it. Now we're offering you a chance to thrive, to do work that matters, to show your daughter that good people don't just survive in this world, they win. Ethan looked at the folder again. The salary, the benefits, health insurance that actually covered things, a title that meant something. When would I start? Thomas grinned. How about Monday? Yes. Yes, absolutely. They shook hands, signed papers. Patricia walked him out chatting about orientation and team structure. Ethan floated through it all in a daze. In the elevator, Patricia pressed the button for the ground floor. Ethan, can I tell you something off the record? Of course. Grace didn't just recommend you. She fought for you. Spent 3 days investigating Richard Sterling personally. Found every piece of evidence. She could have just fired him quietly and moved on. But she wanted justice. For you. For everyone he'd hurt. Patricia's eyes were serious. Don't waste this chance. Make her faith in you mean something. I will. I promise. When Ethan got to his car, he sat there for a full minute before the emotion hit. He cried. Not from sadness this time, from relief, from gratitude, from the overwhelming realization that the universe had bent toward justice just when he'd stopped believing it could. He called Mrs. Chen. "Can you keep Lily an extra hour? I need to do something." "Of course, honey. Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect." He drove to the hospital, asked for Grace Whitmore's information at the front desk. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't give out patient information." "I'm not asking for medical details. I just need to thank her. Please. She saved my life." The receptionist's expression softened. "Room 314. But she's probably resting." Ethan took the elevator up, knocked softly on the door. "Come in." Grace was sitting up in bed, laptop open, looking exhausted but determined. When she saw Ethan, her face lit up. "You came." "I got the job." "I heard. Thomas called me right after." Ethan stood there, words failing him. Finally, "Why? Why what? Why did you do this? You didn't owe me anything." Grace closed her laptop. "Ethan, sit down, please." He sat in the chair beside her bed. "When I was 23, Grace started, "I was working 3 jobs to put myself through business school. One night my car broke down on I-44, middle of winter, freezing rain. I was stranded for 2 hours. Cars just kept passing. Nobody stopped. I thought I was going to die out there." She paused, remembering. Then this truck pulled over. Old guy, probably 70. He didn't ask questions, just said, "You need help," and fixed my radiator hose right there in the freezing rain. Drove behind me all the way to the next exit to make sure I was safe. I tried to pay him. He refused. Said, "Just help somebody else someday." That's it. Then he drove away. Ethan listened, throat tight. "I built my company on that principle. Help people. Not because there's profit in it, because it's right. When you stopped for me on that highway, you reminded me why I started this. Why any of it matters." Grace's voice cracked slightly. "And when I found out you were punished for basic human decency, I couldn't let that stand. I won't let that stand. Ever. You didn't just get me a job. You destroyed Richard Sterling." "I exposed a criminal," Grace corrected. "He destroyed himself. I just made sure everyone knew about it. He's going to prison. If the DA does his job, yes. Embezzlement, fraud, maybe more. They're still investigating." Grace leaned forward. "Ethan, I need you to understand something. This position isn't charity. It's not a reward. It's an opportunity. What you do with it is up to you. You can coast, collect a paycheck, play it safe. Or you can actually change lives. Build something that matters. Show your daughter that kindness isn't weakness, it's power." "I won't let you down." "I know you won't. That's why I fought for you." A nurse knocked and entered. "Ms. Whitmore, your brother's here." Thomas walked in carrying coffee. He stopped when he saw Ethan. "Didn't expect to see you here." "I had to thank Grace properly." "Well, don't keep her too long. Doctor's orders say she needs rest before this baby decides to make an appearance." Thomas set the coffee on Grace's table. "Though knowing my sister, she's probably been working this whole time." "I have not," Grace lied unconvincingly. "Laptop's right there." "Fine. I was reviewing Q3 projections." Thomas rolled his eyes. "She's impossible. Always has been." But his voice was full of affection. Ethan stood. "I should go. Let you rest." "Ethan," Grace called as he reached the door. "Monday morning, 9 a.m. Don't be late." He laughed. "I won't be. I promise." "And Ethan, bring Lily by sometime. I'd like to meet the girl who believes her dad's a hero." "She'd love that." Ethan left the hospital feeling lighter than he had in years. He picked up Lily from Mrs. Chen's, took her for ice cream like he'd promised, and told her everything. "I told you heroes win," Lily said, chocolate ice cream on her nose. "That's the rule." "You were right, baby." "I'm always right. I'm 5. That weekend, Ethan bought Lily new shoes, paid the overdue phone bill, put food in the fridge, fixed the coffee maker, or rather bought a new one that didn't explode. Small victories, but they felt enormous. Monday morning, he walked into Community Solutions at 8:30 a.m. Early, prepared. Patricia met him in the lobby. "Ready for your first day?" "More than ready." She led him to an office, not a cubicle, an actual office with a door and a window and a desk that didn't wobble. "This is yours. Computers set up. Passwords are in the envelope. Team meeting at 10. Lunch with Thomas at noon. Questions?" "Just one. Where do I start?" Patricia smiled. "Wherever you see a need, Ethan. That's your job now. Find the problems everyone else ignores, then fix them." The first week was overwhelming. Meetings, orientations, learning systems. But Ethan absorbed everything like a sponge. He met his team, 6 people passionate about community work. He toured facilities, reviewed programs, started seeing patterns: food insecurity in 3 neighborhoods, lack of job training for formerly incarcerated people, mental health deserts in rural counties, problems everywhere, but also opportunities. Friday afternoon, Thomas called him into his office. "How's the first week?" "Intense, but good." "Patricia says you've been staying late every night." "There's a lot to learn." "There is, but Ethan, you have a daughter. Don't forget that. This job matters, but she matters more." Ethan nodded. "I pick her up at 5 every day. Then I work from home after she goes to bed." "You don't have to prove anything to us." "I'm not proving anything. I'm grateful, and I don't take this for granted." Thomas studied him. "Grace was right about you. You're exactly what we needed." He slid a file across the desk. "I want your opinion on something." Ethan opened it. "Proposal for a mobile food pantry program. Serve underserved communities. Partner with local churches and schools." "This is brilliant," Ethan said, reading quickly. "Who designed it?" "Amanda started it, but it stalled 6 months ago. Budget issues, logistics. I want you to revive it, make it work." "How much authority do I have?" "Whatever you need, within reason. Show me a plan, I'll get you the resources." Ethan's mind was already racing. "I'll have something by Wednesday." "Take your time." "Wednesday," Ethan repeated. "I've got ideas." He worked all weekend. Lily colored at the kitchen table while he sketched routes, crunched numbers, made calls. By Tuesday night, he had a complete proposal. 15-page document. Budget projections. Partnership agreements. Implementation timeline. Wednesday morning, he presented it to Thomas and Patricia. "We launch in 3 neighborhoods," Ethan explained, pointing to his map. "Low-income areas with limited grocery access. Mobile pantries twice a week. Fresh produce, proteins, dairy. Not just canned goods, actual nutrition. We partner with local farms for surplus, work with churches for distribution sites, train community volunteers." "Cost?" Patricia asked. $80,000 for the first quarter. But here's the thing, we're not just feeding people. We're building relationships. Trust. Once that's established, we expand. Job training, financial literacy, health screenings. The food pantry is the door. What we do after people walk through it, that's where real change happens. Thomas was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. "When can you start?" "Next week if we move fast." "Do it. You have full authorization." Ethan left that meeting buzzing with energy. He called Amanda immediately. "We're reviving the mobile pantry." "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. Can you pull the old vendor contracts?" "Ethan, this is amazing. I'll have everything ready by tomorrow." The next 3 weeks were chaos. Securing trucks, negotiating with farms, training volunteers. Ethan worked 16-hour days, but it didn't feel like work. It felt like purpose. The first distribution was on a Saturday in the Riverside neighborhood. Gray morning, cold wind. Ethan arrived at 6 a.m. to set up. By 7 a.m., people were already lining up. Families, elderly couples, single moms with kids, people who'd been invisible to most of the city. But not anymore. "Morning, folks," Ethan called out. "We've got fresh produce, milk, eggs, chicken bread. Take what you need. No judgment, no paperwork. We're here to help." An elderly woman approached first, thin, worn, suspicious. "This for real?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am, completely free." "What's the catch?" "No catch. We just want to help." She stared at him for a long moment. Then tears filled her eyes. "I haven't had fresh vegetables in 3 months. Pension don't stretch that far anymore." "Well, you do now. Take whatever you need." By noon, they'd served 200 families. The trucks were empty. The volunteers were exhausted. But everyone was smiling. Amanda hugged Ethan. "We did it. We actually did it." "This is just the start," Ethan said. "Next week, we add 2 more sites." Word spread fast. Local news covered it. The story went viral, not just because of the program, but because of Ethan's story. Single dad fired for helping a pregnant woman, now running programs that helped thousands. The comment section exploded. People sharing their own stories of being punished for doing right. Others praising Grace Whitmore for standing up for justice. And buried in the comments, one from an anonymous user. "Richard Sterling got what he deserved. Karma's real." 2 months into the job, Grace called Ethan. "I'm being discharged tomorrow. Would you and Lily like to visit? We'd love to." They showed up with flowers and a card Lily had made construction paper with glitter and the words, "Thank you for saving my daddy," in crooked letters. Grace cried when she read it. "Lily, this is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me." "You're welcome. Are you going to have your baby soon?" "Very soon. 2 more weeks." "Is it a boy or a girl?" "Boy. His name's going to be Gabriel." "That's pretty. Gabriel's an angel. Angels bring good news." Grace met Ethan's eyes over Lily's head. "She's right. Angels do bring good news." They stayed for an hour. Lily told Grace about school, about Mr. Whiskers, about how Daddy's job was helping people, and that made him an even bigger hero. When they left, Grace caught Ethan's arm. "Thank you, for coming, for everything. I should be thanking you. We're even then." But they both knew they weren't even. They were something else. Something neither of them had words for yet. 2 weeks later, Grace gave birth. Gabriel Thomas Whitmore. 8 pounds 3 ounces. Perfect. Ethan sent flowers. Grace sent back a photo, tiny Gabriel sleeping with a note. He already knows about the man who stopped in the rain. Life settled into a new rhythm. Work. Lily. The mobile pantries expanding to 7 neighborhoods. Ethan's team growing. Purpose replacing desperation. Then 4 months after he started, everything exploded again. A tabloid published photos. Grace and Ethan having coffee. Grace and Ethan at the hospital. Grace and Ethan at a community solutions event. The headline, "Pregnant CEO's secret affair, did she leave her husband for the man she rescued?" It was complete fiction. Grace wasn't married. There was no affair. But the internet didn't care about facts. The story went viral. Thousands of comments, half supporting Grace, half destroying her. She used her position to seduce a subordinate. This is what happens when women have too much power. Poor husband. Hope he takes everything in the divorce. Ethan's phone rang at 6 a.m. "Patricia, have you seen the news?" "What news?" "Check your phone, then get to the office. Emergency meeting at 8. Ethan checked. His stomach dropped. The photos. The lies. His face next to Grace's on every gossip site in America. "Daddy." Lily appeared in his doorway. "Why do you look scared?" "I'm not scared, baby. Just surprised." "About what?" "How do you explain tabloid journalism to a 5-year-old? Some people wrote things about me and Grace that aren't true. I have to go fix it." Are they saying you're not a hero? Something like that. Then they're dumb. You are a hero. I'll tell them. If only it were that simple. Ethan dropped Lily at school and drove to Community Solutions. The office was already buzzing, people staring, whispering. Patricia met him at the door. Conference room. Now. Thomas was there, and Grace. She looked exhausted. Baby Gabriel was with a nanny somewhere. This was crisis mode. I'm sorry, Ethan said immediately. I didn't know they were taking pictures. This isn't your fault. Grace cut him off. It's mine. I should have been more careful. More careful about what? Having coffee with someone who saved your life. The optics, Ethan. The board is losing their minds. They want me to resign. That's insane. Thomas spoke up. The board doesn't care about truth. They care about stock prices. And right now, our stock is dropping because investors think our CEO had an affair with an employee. Then we tell the truth, Ethan said. We explain what actually happened. We tried, Patricia said quietly. Nobody's listening. The story's too good. Powerful woman, helpless man, secret baby. It writes itself. Gabriel isn't my son. They don't care. Grace stood, paced. I won't let this destroy you, Ethan. You have Lily to think about. I'm going to issue a statement. Take full responsibility. Say I acted inappropriately. You did nothing inappropriate. But if I say I did, it protects you. And destroys you. I can handle it. No, Ethan said firmly. We don't lie. We don't let them win by playing their game. Then what do we do? Ethan looked at Thomas. We go public. Together. Tell the real story. The whole story. Not through a press release. In person. Let people see who we actually are. That's risky, Thomas said. Everything's risky. But Grace taught me something. Kindness is power. Truth is power. Let's use it. Grace met his eyes. Something passed between them. Understanding. Trust. Okay, she said. We fight back. The press conference was scheduled for Friday. 3 days to prepare. 3 days for the media to tear them apart even more. By Wednesday, new headlines appeared. Grace Whitmore's love child scandal deepens. Single dad seduced boss for promotion. Whitmore Enterprises stock plummets amid CEO crisis. Ethan stopped reading after the 5th article called him a gold digger. He was in his office trying to focus on the food pantry expansion when his phone rang. Grace. How are you holding up? I've been better. You? The board called an emergency meeting. They want me out by Monday. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. They can't do that. They can. I'm becoming a liability. Thomas is fighting for me, but he's 1 vote against 12. What about the press conference? They want me to cancel it, issue a written apology, and step down quietly. Don't you dare. Grace laughed, but it was hollow. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. I just wanted you to know what we're up against. We've been up against worse. We'll win this. I hope you're right. After she hung up, Ethan sat there staring at his desk. His whole life he'd tried to do the right thing. Help people. Be honest. Work hard. And somehow it kept blowing up in his face. Sarah's voice whispered in his memory. The right thing is still right, even when it cost you everything. Amanda knocked on his door. You okay? No, but I will be. For what it's worth, everyone here knows the truth. We've got your back. Thanks. That means a lot. She hesitated. Ethan, there's something else. Someone from the DA's office called. They want to talk to you about Richard Sterling's case. What about it? They need witnesses, people he hurt. They think your testimony could help. Ethan's jaw tightened. When? Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. I'll be there. Thursday morning, Ethan sat across from Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Park in a small government office that smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Cole," she said, spreading files across the table. "We're building a case against Richard Sterling, embezzlement, fraud, wire fraud. But we need to establish a pattern of behavior, specifically how he eliminated anyone who might expose him." "He fired me for helping someone." "We know, but it's more than that." Jennifer pulled out a document. "In the last 3 years, Sterling fired or forced out 7 employees. All of them had exemplary records. All of them were terminated suddenly with vague justifications. He was cleaning house." "Exactly. We have the financial crimes locked down, $417,000 stolen, fake vendor accounts, falsified invoices. But we want to show the jury who Richard Sterling really is, not just a thief, a predator who destroyed lives to protect himself." Ethan leaned forward. "What do you need from me?" "Your story, the timeline, the meeting where he fired you, witnesses who can corroborate your performance record. I want the jury to see that Richard Sterling didn't just steal money. He stole futures, careers, hope." "When's the trial?" 6 months. Maybe sooner if he takes a plea." "He won't," Ethan said flatly. "He's too arrogant." Jennifer smiled grimly. "Good. I want him in front of a jury." They talked for 2 hours. Ethan gave her everything: names, dates, documentation. By the end, Jennifer looked satisfied. "This is good, Mr. Cole. Really good. One more thing, how's Grace Whitmore holding up with all this media circus?" "She's tougher than she looks." "I'm sure she is. For the record, we looked into those tabloid allegations. There's nothing there. No evidence of any impropriety. The photos were taken at public events, coffee shops, hospital visits, completely innocent." "Tell that to the internet." "The internet doesn't care about facts, but courts do. If this goes too far, Grace could sue for defamation." "She won't. She's not that kind of person." "Maybe she should be. Sometimes fighting back is the only way to win." Ethan left the DA's office feeling drained but determined. Tomorrow was the press conference. Tomorrow they told the truth. Tomorrow they fought back. That night he sat with Lily at their kitchen table. She was drawing pictures of Gabriel as an angel with wings. "Daddy, are you still in trouble?" "Sort of, but we're fixing it." "Is Miss Grace in trouble too?" "Yeah, baby, she is." Lily put down her crayon. "That's not fair. She saved you. You saved her. Why are people being mean? How do you explain human cruelty to a 5-year-old? Sometimes people get confused about what's true. Tomorrow Miss Grace and I are going to tell everyone the real story. Will they listen?" "I hope so." "They will. Because you're a hero, and heroes always tell the truth." Ethan pulled her close. "When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart. I'm almost 6. "You're 5.5. That's basically 6. Friday morning arrived cold and gray. Ethan put on his best suit, the one he'd worn to Sarah's funeral. It felt appropriate somehow, like he was burying one life and starting another. He dropped Lily at Mrs. Chen's. "Wish me luck." "You don't need luck, honey. You've got truth on your side." The press conference was at noon. Downtown Springfield, Whitmore Enterprises headquarters. Ethan arrived at 11 and was ushered into a back room where Grace waited with Thomas and Patricia. Grace looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, but her spine was straight, her voice steady. "Ready for this?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "The board made one last attempt this morning to stop us. Threatened legal action if I speak publicly." "What did you say?" "I told them to sue me. See how that plays with shareholders." Grace's smile was cold. They backed down. Thomas checked his watch. 15 minutes. Media's already gathering. It's a full house." "Good," Grace said. "Let them all hear it." Patricia handed Ethan a note card. "Talking points, in case you freeze up." "I won't freeze." "Still, just in case." At 11:55, they walked toward the conference room. Ethan could hear the buzz of voices through the walls. His heart hammered. Grace touched his arm. "Thank you for standing with me." You didn't have to. Yes, I did. This is bigger than us now. You're right. It is. They entered the room. Camera flashes exploded. Dozens of reporters shouting questions simultaneously. Grace, is it true you're having an affair? Ethan, did you sleep with your boss for a promotion? Is Gabriel really your son, Mr. Cole? Grace stepped to the podium. The room didn't quiet immediately. She waited, patient, regal. Finally, silence fell. Thank you all for coming. I'm Grace Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Enterprises. This is Ethan Cole, Director of Community Relations for our subsidiary Community Solutions. We're here to address the allegations that have been circulating this week. Not with lawyers, not with carefully worded statements, with the truth. She paused, letting the words sink in. 4 months ago, I was 8 months pregnant. My car broke down on Highway 65 during a rainstorm. I was alone, scared, having contractions. Cars passed me for over an hour. Then one stopped. A 15-year-old Honda with a single father and his 5-year-old daughter inside. Ethan Cole didn't know who I was. Didn't ask for anything in return. He just helped. Drove me to the hospital, made sure I was safe. Then he left. The reporters were silent now, actually listening. Because Ethan stopped to help me, he was late to an important meeting. His boss, Richard Sterling, fired him publicly, humiliated him in front of his colleagues. 5 years of perfect service erased in 60 seconds. Not because Ethan was a bad employee, because Richard Sterling was a criminal who saw Ethan as a threat. Grace's voice hardened. Richard Sterling embezzled over $400,000 from our company. He created fake vendors, falsified invoices, and when good employees got too close or asked too many questions, he fired them. Ethan wasn't the first. He was the 7th. 7 people whose lives and careers were destroyed so Richard Sterling could steal with impunity. A reporter called out, "Did you fire Sterling because of Ethan?" I fired Sterling because he was a criminal. The district attorney is prosecuting him for multiple felonies. But did Ethan's story motivate me to investigate? Absolutely. Because I couldn't accept a world where someone gets punished for basic human decency. Another reporter. But the photos of you two together are from public meetings, coffee shops, hospital visits, community events. There is no affair. There never was. Ethan saved my life. I helped him get a job where his talents could actually be used. That's the entire story. What about the baby? Grace's expression turned to ice. My son Gabriel is not Ethan's child. His father isn't relevant to this discussion. What is relevant is that tabloids manufactured a scandal out of thin air because the truth wasn't interesting enough. A single father helped a stranger. A CEO rewarded integrity. That's it. That's the whole story. She stepped back. Ethan stepped forward. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm a widower. A single father to a 5-year-old girl named Lily. I worked at Freshmart for 5 years, showed up every day, did my job, tried to be the kind of person my late wife would be proud of. His throat tightened. He pushed through. The morning I helped Grace, I was terrified. Terrified of being late. Terrified of losing my job. Terrified of not being able to provide for my daughter. But I stopped anyway. Because that's what you do. You help people. Even when it costs you. It cost me everything that day. My job, my health insurance, my daughter's stability. I went home and had to explain to a 5-year-old why Daddy got fired for being a hero. And you know what she said? She said heroes get fired sometimes, that it's okay. Because doing the right thing matters more than keeping your job. Ethan looked directly at the cameras. Grace Whitmore gave me a second chance, not because she owed me, not because we're having an affair, because she believes people should be rewarded for doing right, not punished for it. The work I do now at Community Solutions feeds thousands of families every week, provides job training, mental health resources, Real help for real people. That's what Grace made possible. Not a scandal. A purpose. A reporter stood. Mr. Cole, do you regret helping her? Not for 1 second. Even though it destroyed your life. It didn't destroy my life, it changed it. There's a difference. Richard Sterling tried to destroy me. Grace Whitmore rebuilt me. The scandal, that's just noise. What matters is the work, the families we help, the lives we change. Everything else is just noise. Grace stepped back to the microphone. We're not here to ask for sympathy. We're here to tell you the truth. And the truth is, this kindness should be rewarded, not punished. Integrity should be celebrated, not destroyed. And when good people do good things, the world should lift them up, not tear them down. She paused, meeting the eyes of reporters across the room. I'm not resigning. I'm not apologizing for helping someone who deserved help. And I'm not backing down from my board or the tabloids or anyone else who thinks profit matters more than people. If that makes me unfit to lead, so be it. But I'm not changing who I am. The room erupted with questions. Grace ignored them. She and Ethan walked out together, cameras flashing like lightning. In the hallway, Thomas was grinning. That was perfect. Think it'll work? Ethan asked. It already is. Check your phone. Ethan pulled it out. Social media was exploding. But this time the tide had turned. Grace Whitmore is a hero for standing up for that dad. This is what real leadership looks like. Ethan Cole is everything right with humanity. I'm crying. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Thousands of comments, hundreds of thousands. Within an hour, millions. Patricia appeared breathless. The board just called. Emergency meeting in 30 minutes. Grace's face hardened. Here we go. Grace, it's not what you think. They're not firing you. Well, you should just come. The boardroom was full, 12 members, all standing when Grace entered. Robert Harrison, board chairman, spoke first. Grace, Ethan, please sit. They sat. The tension was suffocating. Harrison cleared his throat. We've spent the last hour watching your press conference, reading the public response, fielding calls from shareholders, and we've come to a decision. Grace's jaw was set, ready for war. We were wrong. Silence. Complete. Stunning. We let fear drive our choices, worried about stock prices and public perception instead of focusing on the truth. You did nothing wrong, Grace. Neither did Mr. Cole. We apologize for even suggesting otherwise. Grace's mask cracked slightly. What about Monday's ultimatum? Rescinded. You're our CEO. That's not changing. Harrison looked at Ethan. And Mr. Cole, we owe you an apology as well. You've done extraordinary work in 4 months. The mobile pantry program alone has generated more positive press than any initiative we've launched in 5 years. We should have defended you immediately. We didn't. That was our failure. Another board member, Margaret Chen, spoke up. The shareholders are calling. Not to complain, to praise. Our stock is up 7% in the last hour. Investors are seeing what we should have seen from the start. Integrity drives value. Real lasting value. Thomas leaned back, suppressing a smile. He'd known this was coming. The public response was too overwhelming to ignore. Harrison continued. Grace, we'd like to expand the community solutions budget by 40%. Give Ethan the resources to take this work national. If we're going to be the company you envisioned, we need to invest in programs that actually help people. Grace looked at Ethan. He looked stunned. National, Ethan repeated. Why not? Your model works. Scale it. 50 cities. 100. Show the country what compassionate capitalism looks like. Ethan's mind was racing. National reach. Thousands of families. Millions of dollars in real impact. I'll need a bigger team. You'll have it. And full autonomy. No board interference on day-to-day decisions. Harrison nodded. Done. Grace stood, extended her hand to Harrison. Thank you. For listening. For doing the right thing. Thank you for reminding us what matters. They left the boardroom in a daze. In the elevator, Ethan finally spoke. "Did that just happen?" "I think so." "We won. We didn't just win, Ethan. We changed the game." The elevator doors opened. Patricia was waiting with champagne. "Too early to celebrate." Grace laughed. Actually laughed. The first genuine laugh in weeks. Never too early. They toasted in Grace's office. To truth, to justice, to second chances. Ethan's phone rang. Unknown number again. He almost didn't answer. "Hello. Mr. Cole. This is Marcus Reed from the Washington Post. I'd like to do a feature on your story. How a single father's act of kindness became a movement for corporate responsibility." A movement? Check Twitter. #kindness. Power is trending. People are sharing stories of being fired for doing the right thing. Calling for companies to reward compassion instead of punishing it. You started something, Mr. Cole. Something big. After Marcus hung up, Ethan checked social media. It was everywhere. Teachers who'd been fired for helping struggling students. Nurses disciplined for spending extra time with patients. Workers terminated for whistleblowing. Thousands of stories. Millions of people saying, "Enough." "This is bigger than us," Ethan said quietly. Grace looked over his shoulder at the screen. "It always was. We just gave people permission to speak up." The weekend was chaos. Interview requests, news segments, profile pieces. Ethan did a dozen interviews from his apartment while Lily played in the background. Every journalist asked the same question. "What do you want people to take from this?" And Ethan gave the same answer every time. That doing the right thing still matters. That kindness isn't weakness. That we have to build a world where people like my daughter grow up knowing compassion is rewarded, not punished. That's what Grace taught me. That's what I want to teach Lily. That's what we all should want. By Monday morning, 3 major companies had announced new policies protecting employees who helped others during emergencies. 5 more pledged to review termination practices to prevent abuse by managers. The movement was real. But so was the backlash. Richard Sterling's lawyer issued a statement claiming the press conference was a coordinated attack to bias his trial. Conservative pundits accused Grace of weaponizing victimhood. A few fringe groups even claimed the whole thing was staged. Ethan tried to ignore it, focused on work, on expanding the mobile pantries, on hiring his new team. Then Tuesday afternoon, his phone rang. Jennifer Park from the DA's office. "Ethan, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Richard Sterling's team filed a motion claiming you and Grace are conspiring to taint the jury pool. They're using the press conference as evidence." "That's ridiculous. We told the truth." "I know. But they're arguing your testimony is now compromised, that the publicity makes it impossible for Sterling to get a fair trial." Ethan's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means the judge might exclude your testimony. Maybe others too. It could weaken our case significantly. So we helped Richard by speaking out. You helped victims by speaking out. But yes, there are legal complications. I wanted you to know before the hearing Friday." After she hung up, Ethan sat there feeling sick. They'd won the public battle, but potentially lost the legal one. If Richard walked because of the press conference? Grace called an hour later. She'd heard the same news. "This is my fault," she said. "I pushed for the press conference. I should have thought about the legal ramifications." "We both decided. Together. Still. If he walks Ethan." "He won't. Jennifer's good. She'll find a way." But neither of them sounded convinced. Friday came. The hearing was closed to the public, but reporters mobbed the courthouse anyway. Ethan and Grace sat in the back of the courtroom while lawyers argued motions and technicalities. Richard Sterling sat at the defense table. Expensive suit, smug expression. He'd lost weight, looked older, but that arrogance was still there. His lawyer, a shark named Gregory Walsh, addressed the judge. Your Honor, Mr. Cole and Ms. Whitmore conducted what can only be described as a publicity campaign designed to prejudice any potential jury against my client. They painted Mr. Sterling as a villain on national television, made inflammatory statements about his character, created an environment where a fair trial is impossible. Jennifer Park stood. Your Honor, Mr. Cole and Ms. Whitmore told the truth about their experiences. They didn't discuss the specifics of the criminal case, didn't reveal evidence, simply shared their stories. That's protected speech. Protected speech that poisons the jury pool, Walsh shot back. We're requesting Mr. Cole's testimony be excluded, along with any witnesses connected to the press conference. Judge Patricia Delgado, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, looked unimpressed. Mr. Walsh, are you suggesting victims can't speak publicly about their experiences? When it prejudices my client's right to a fair trial, yes. And Mr. Sterling's decision to embezzle $400,000 that didn't prejudice anyone's rights. Alleged embezzlement, Your Honor. Right. Alleged. Judge Delgado shuffled papers. Here's what I see, Mr. Walsh. Your client is accused of systematic theft and abuse of power. Multiple victims. Mountains of documentary evidence, bank records, invoices, digital trails. Whether Mr. Cole testifies or not, your client is facing serious consequences. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Mr. Cole's testimony is relevant to establishing pattern of behavior, motive, character. The fact that he spoke publicly doesn't negate the substance of his testimony. Motion denied. Walsh looked furious. Your Honor, I must object. You did object. I overruled it. Anything else? We request a change of venue due to pretrial publicity. Denied. Mr. Sterling committed his crimes in Springfield. He'll face justice in Springfield. We're done here. Trial begins in 6 weeks. Both sides prepare accordingly. The gavel came down. Final. Outside the courthouse, Ethan felt like he could breathe again. Jennifer caught up with them. That went better than expected. What happens now? Grace asked. Now we prepare, build the case, show the jury exactly who Richard Sterling is and what he did. Jennifer looked at Ethan. You'll need to testify, probably 2 or 3 days on the stand. Sterling's lawyer will come after you hard. Try to make you look vindictive, bitter, motivated by revenge rather than truth. I can handle it. I know you can. But Ethan, it won't be pleasant. He'll bring up your wife, your financial struggles, Lily. He'll try to paint you as someone who targeted his boss for a payout. There was no payout. Grace gave you a job worth 6 figures. That's how he'll spin it. Ethan looked at Grace. She looked back steady and sure. Let him spin it, Ethan said. The truth is still the truth. 6 weeks. 6 weeks until the trial that would determine if Richard Sterling paid for his crimes or walked free to destroy more lives. 6 weeks to prepare for war. The 6 weeks passed in a blur of preparation and expansion. Ethan spent mornings with Jennifer Park rehearsing testimony, afternoons running community solutions, and evenings being a father to Lily. Sleep became optional. You look terrible, Amanda told him 3 weeks before trial. Thanks. That's exactly what I needed to hear. I'm serious, Ethan. When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? He couldn't remember. The mobile pantry program had expanded to 12 neighborhoods. His team had grown from 6 people to 20. Applications for the national expansion were pouring in. And every spare moment went to preparing for Richard Sterling's trial. I'm fine. You're burning out. Take a day off. Can't. Too much to do. But Amanda was right. That night, Ethan fell asleep at the kitchen table, Lily's math homework under his face. He woke at 2 a.m. with paper stuck to his cheek and his daughter standing beside him in her pajamas. Daddy, you fell asleep. I know, baby. Sorry. Are you okay? The question hit harder than it should have. Was he okay? His life had transformed in 6 months, from unemployed and desperate to running a national program, from invisible to famous, from broken to whole, but the cost was catching up. "I'm tired, Lily. Really tired." She climbed into his lap. "Then rest. Heroes need rest too." "When did you get so smart?" "I told you. I'm basically 6. He carried her back to bed, tucked her in, and stood in her doorway watching her sleep. Sarah would be proud. Of Lily. Of the work he was doing. Of the man he'd become. But Sarah would also tell him to slow down before he collapsed. The next morning, Ethan called Grace. "I need a favor." "Anything." "I need to take Lily somewhere this weekend. Away from all this. Clear my head before the trial." "Where are you thinking?" "Lake of the Ozarks. Sarah and I used to take her there when she was little, before everything fell apart." Grace was quiet for a moment. "That sounds perfect. Take the weekend. Take Monday too if you need it. The work will be here when you get back." "Thank you." "Ethan, take care of yourself. We need you healthy. Lily needs you healthy." Saturday morning, Ethan and Lily drove 2 hours to the lake. They stayed in a cheap cabin that smelled like pine and old wood. No internet, no phone service unless you walked to the main office. Just trees and water and peace. Lily spent the afternoon catching tadpoles in a bucket. Ethan sat on the dock, feet in the water, watching her. "Daddy, look, I caught 5. That's amazing, baby. Can we keep them? They need to stay in the lake, but we can visit them whenever we come back." "Promise we'll come back." "Promise." That night, they roasted marshmallows over a fire pit. Lily burned hers immediately and declared it perfect anyway. Ethan told her stories about her mom. How Sarah used to sing off-key in the car. How she cried at every Disney movie. How she loved Lily more than anything in the world. "Do you miss her?" Lily asked. "Every single day." "Me too. But I'm glad we have each other." Ethan pulled her close. "Me too, baby. Me too." Sunday, they hiked a trail that wound through the woods. Lily collected rocks and leaves and insisted they were magical. Ethan let her believe it. Magic was real when you were 5. The world hadn't beaten it out of you yet. On the drive home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat. Ethan glanced at her in the rearview mirror. She looked peaceful, happy. That's all that mattered. His phone exploded with notifications the moment they got cell service. 50 messages, 30 missed calls. His stomach dropped. He pulled over and checked. Most were from Jennifer Park. He called her immediately. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you all weekend." "Lake. No service. What's wrong?" "Richard Sterling tried to flee the country." Ethan's world tilted. "What?" "Friday night. Packed a bag. Drove to the airport. Had a ticket to Costa Rica. No extradition treaty. TSA flagged him at security. Marshals arrested him at the gate." "Is he in custody?" "Jail. No bail. Judge is furious. This basically proves consciousness of guilt. His lawyers scrambling to contain the damage, but it's bad, Ethan. Really bad." "So the trial?" "Still happening. 3 weeks. But now we've got flight risk on top of everything else. Jury's going to hear about this. It destroys any sympathy Sterling might have had." Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. Relief. Justice. Hope. He's really going to pay for this. Yes, he is. Get some rest this week, Ethan. When trial starts, it's going to be intense. Monday morning, the news broke. Every outlet covered it. Embezzlement suspect caught fleeing country. The photos of Richard being arrested in handcuffs went viral. The comments section was merciless. Guy fires a single dad for helping someone, then tries to run. Karma's beautiful. Hope he rots in prison. This is what happens when you value profit over people. Grace called Ethan that afternoon. "Did you hear?" "Jennifer told me." "How do you feel?" Ethan thought about it. How did he feel? Vindicated, angry, sad, relieved, all of it at once. "I feel like justice might actually exist after all." It does. Sometimes it just takes longer than we want. Grace. Can I ask you something? Always. Why did you fight so hard for this? For me, you could have fired Richard quietly and moved on, but you didn't. You made it personal. Grace was quiet for a long moment. Because someone did the same for me once. When I was 23 and broken down on that highway, that old man didn't just fix my car. He reminded me that goodness exists, that people still help each other. I built my company on that memory. And when Richard Sterling tried to punish you for living that same principle, I couldn't let it stand. I won't ever let it stand. You're a good person, Grace. So are you. That's why we're going to win. The 3 weeks before trial felt like 3 years. Ethan worked, testified in pre-trial hearings, prepped with Jennifer until he could recite his story backward. The media attention intensified. More interviews, more profiles, more strangers recognizing him at the grocery store. Lily handled it better than he did. Daddy's famous. She told her kindergarten class during show and tell. Because he's a hero. Heroes help people, even when it's hard. Her teacher called Ethan that night. Just wanted you to know, Lily's doing great. She's proud of you. The other kids are too. You're teaching them something important. What's that? That doing the right thing matters. We need more people showing kids that these days. Trial began on a cold Monday in November. Ethan arrived at the courthouse at 7 a.m. and found a crowd already gathered. Reporters, supporters, people holding signs. Justice for Ethan Cole. Kindness is power. Richard Sterling guilty. Jennifer met him at the entrance. Media circus, huh? Little bit. Ignore it. Focus on the jury. That's all that matters. Inside the courtroom was packed. Ethan sat behind the prosecution table. Grace sat a few rows back with Thomas. She caught Ethan's eye and nodded. You've got this. Richard Sterling entered in an orange jumpsuit and chains. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear. Good, Ethan thought. Let him be scared for once. Judge Delgado entered. All rise. The trial began. Jennifer's opening statement was surgical, precise, devastating. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about greed, about a man who stole over $400,000 from his employer. But it's also about cruelty, because Richard Sterling didn't just steal money. He stole lives, destroyed careers, eliminated anyone who might expose him, and he did it with a smile on his face. She pointed at Richard. The evidence will show that the defendant created fake vendors, falsified invoices, diverted company funds into his personal accounts. And when employees like Ethan Cole got too close or asked too many questions, he fired them. 7 people in 3 years. 7 good people, whose only crime was doing their jobs with integrity. Jennifer walked to the jury box. You'll hear from Mr. Cole. You'll hear his story. How he stopped on a rainy highway to help a pregnant stranger. How he risked everything to do the right thing. And how Richard Sterling punished him for it. Because that's who Richard Sterling is. A man who values profit over people. Money over morality, his freedom over everyone else's future. She returned to her table. At the end of this trial, you'll have a choice. Reward Richard Sterling's cruelty with freedom, or hold him accountable for the lives he destroyed. I trust you'll make the right choice. Gregory Walsh's opening was predictable. Richard was innocent. The prosecution was biased. Ethan Cole was a disgruntled employee seeking revenge. The whole thing was a witch hunt orchestrated by Grace Whitmore. The jury looked skeptical, especially when Walsh tried to paint Richard as the victim. My client made tough decisions, fired underperforming employees, enforced company policy. That doesn't make him a criminal. It makes him a manager doing his job. One juror actually rolled her eyes. The first week of trial was technical. Forensic accountants explaining money trails. FBI agents detailing the fake vendor scheme. Document after document showing Richard's systematic theft. Richard's lawyer tried to poke holes. Suggested maybe someone else had access. Maybe the records were incomplete. Maybe. but the evidence was overwhelming. By Friday, even Walsh looked defeated. Jennifer called Ethan to the stand Monday morning of week 2. He swore to tell the truth and sat down, hands clasped in his lap to stop them shaking. Jennifer started gentle. "Mr. Cole, can you tell the jury about your employment at Fresh Mart? I worked there 5 years, started in inventory, worked up to operations coordinator, good performance reviews, no disciplinary issues, and your personal situation during that time." "My wife Sarah died 2 years into my employment. Cancer. I was raising our daughter Lily alone. Money was tight, but we managed." "Did Richard Sterling know about your situation?" "Yes. I'd requested time off for Sarah's treatments. Funeral, grief counseling. He approved everything. Never seemed like an issue." "Until the morning of October 17th. Can you tell us what happened that day?" Ethan took a breath. "Here we go. I was driving to work. Important meeting that morning. Potential promotion. I saw a pregnant woman stranded on Highway 65. Car broken down. She was having contractions. I stopped to help. Drove her to the hospital. Made me late for the meeting." "How late?" 27 minutes. "And what happened when you arrived?" "Richard Sterling fired me, in front of the entire management team. Said I didn't respect the company, that there was always an excuse with me. Told security to escort me out immediately." "Did you try to explain?" "Yes, he didn't care. Said I should have thought about consequences before playing hero." "Playing hero." Those were his exact words. "Yes." Jennifer pulled up a document on the screen. "This is your personnel file. 5 years of perfect attendance. Employee of the month 4 times. Commendation for improving efficiency by 20%. Does this look like someone who didn't respect the company?" "No." "So why would Richard Sterling fire you?" Walsh stood. "Objection. Calls for speculation." Sustained. Jennifer pivoted. "Mr. Cole, did you know Richard Sterling was embezzling funds?" "Not at the time, but looking back there were signs. Invoices that didn't match inventory. Vendors I'd never heard of. When I'd ask questions, Richard would shut me down. Tell me to stay in my lane." "Did other employees notice these discrepancies?" "Yes. A guy named Tom Chen in accounting mentioned it once. Said some numbers didn't add up. He was fired 2 weeks later." "Fired for what?" "Performance issues, supposedly. But Tom was great at his job. It never made sense." Jennifer let that hang. "What did you do after Richard fired you?" "Went home. Told my daughter I lost my job because I helped someone. She said that made me a hero." Ethan's voice cracked slightly. "I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a failure." "But then Grace Whitmore contacted you." "Yes. The pregnant woman I'd helped. She wanted to thank me. Offered to help me find work." "Did you know who she was?" "Not initially. Just thought she was someone I'd helped." "When did you learn she owned Whitmore Enterprises?" "When she called to tell me about a job opportunity. Even then, I didn't know she owned Fresh Mart." "What happened next?" "She hired me at Community Solutions, Director of Community Relations. Good salary, benefits, a chance to do meaningful work." "And at any point did Grace ask for anything in return?" "No, never. No romantic relationship. No. No quid pro quo. Nothing. She just wanted to help." Jennifer paused. "Mr. Cole, in the 6 months since Richard Sterling fired you, what have you accomplished at Community Solutions?" "We launched mobile food pantries in 12 neighborhoods, serve over 2,000 families weekly, started job training programs, mental health outreach. We're expanding nationally next year." "Sounds like you found your calling." "I did. But I lost 6 months of my life first. 6 months of fear and struggle and wondering if I'd lose my apartment, if I could feed my daughter, if doing the right thing was worth it." "Is it worth it?" Ethan looked at the jury. "It has to be. Because if we live in a world where helping someone costs you everything, what kind of world is that?" Jennifer nodded. No further questions. Gregory Walsh approached for cross-examination, smiled like a shark. Mr. Cole, you testified you were fired for being late. Yes. But you were late. 27 minutes because I helped someone having a medical emergency. Still late though, correct? Technically, yes. And you knew this was an important meeting. Yes. But you stopped anyway. Because someone needed help. Walsh's smile widened. Or because you knew Grace Whitmore was wealthy and powerful. Knew stopping would get you noticed. Ethan's jaw tightened. I didn't know who she was. So you say. But isn't it convenient you help a stranger who just happens to own the company? Get fired. Then get hired back at double your salary. Quite the coincidence. It wasn't planned. And now you're the face of a national movement. Book deals, speaking engagements. Quite profitable for someone who claims they were just helping. Jennifer stood. Objection. Mr. Cole hasn't profited from any of this. Sustained. Mr. Walsh, stick to the facts. Walsh pivoted. Mr. Cole, you testified Richard Sterling shut you down when you asked questions about invoices. Yes. Did you report these concerns to HR? No. Why not? Because Richard was my boss. Reporting him felt risky. Risky. Or maybe there was nothing to report. Maybe you're manufacturing suspicions now to justify your vendetta. I'm not. You're angry at Richard Sterling, admit it. I'm angry he stole from the company and destroyed people's careers to cover it. Or you're angry he fired you and you want revenge. Ethan leaned forward. I want justice. There's a difference. Is there? Because it seems like you and Grace Whitmore orchestrated this entire prosecution to punish my client for making a management decision you didn't like. That's not true, isn't it? You admit Grace gave you a high-paying job, funded your programs, made you famous, in exchange for what, Mr. Cole? Your testimony against Richard Sterling. In exchange for nothing. She helped because it's the right thing to do. How noble and completely unbelievable. Jennifer objected again. Judge Delgado sustained it and warned Walsh to back off. The cross-examination continued for 2 more hours. Walsh attacked every angle. Ethan's credibility, his motives, his relationship with Grace. But Ethan held steady, told the truth, didn't get rattled. Finally, Walsh gave up. No further questions. Jennifer did redirect. Mr. Cole, one final question. If you could go back to that morning on Highway 65 knowing everything that would happen, would you still stop? Ethan didn't hesitate. Yes. Every time. Because that's what we're supposed to do. Help each other. Even when it costs us. Thank you. Nothing further. Ethan stepped down exhausted but relieved. Grace was waiting in the hallway. You were incredible in there. Felt like I got hit by a truck. Walsh is desperate. That means we're winning. Over the next week, Jennifer called more witnesses. Former employees. Richard had fired. Accountants who testified about the theft. Even Richard's ex-wife who said he'd always valued money over people. The defense called character witnesses. People who said Richard was a good manager. A decent guy. But their testimony felt hollow against the mountain of evidence. By the end of week 3, the trial was winding down. Closing arguments were scheduled for Monday. That weekend, Ethan took Lily to the park, pushed her on the swings, watched her laugh and play. Normal kid stuff. The kind of moments that mattered more than any trial. Daddy, when the trial is over, will everything go back to normal? I don't think anything's going to be normal for a while, baby, but that's okay. We're going to be fine. Better than fine, Lily said, because we're heroes, and heroes always win. Monday morning, Jennifer delivered her closing argument. Calm, controlled, devastating. Ladies and gentlemen, this trial boils down to one question. What kind of world do we want to live in? One where people like Richard Sterling steal with impunity and destroy anyone who threatens them? Or one where justice actually means something? She walked them through the evidence. The bank records, the fake vendors, the pattern of firing good employees, Ethan's story, Tom Chen's story, 6 others just like them. Richard Sterling didn't just steal money, he stole dignity, hope, futures. And when Ethan Cole had the audacity to be a good person, Richard punished him for it. Because in Richard Sterling's world, compassion is weakness and integrity is a liability. Jennifer faced the jury directly. You have the power to say that's wrong, to hold Richard Sterling accountable, to tell the world that stealing and cruelty have consequences. Do the right thing. Find him guilty. Walsh's closing was weaker, argued reasonable doubt, suggested the evidence was circumstantial, painted Richard as a scapegoat for corporate politics. The jury didn't buy it. Ethan could see it in their faces. They'd already decided. Judge Delgado gave instructions. The jury filed out to deliberate. And then there was nothing to do but wait. 4 hours later, the jury sent word. They had a verdict. The courtroom filled quickly. Ethan's heart hammered so hard he thought everyone could hear it. Grace sat beside him this time, her hand briefly touching his arm. "Whatever happens, you did everything right," she whispered. "I know, but I still want him to pay." "He will." Judge Delgado entered. Everyone stood. The jury filed in their faces, unreadable. Ethan tried to gauge their expressions, but got nothing. 12 strangers who held Richard Sterling's fate in their hands. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" Judge Delgado asked. The forewoman stood, middle-aged, steady voice. "We have, Your Honor. Please hand the verdict to the bailiff." The paper passed from jury to bailiff to judge. Delgado read it without expression, handed it back. "The defendant will rise." Richard stood, his lawyer beside him. For the first time since the trial started, Richard looked genuinely afraid. "On the count of embezzlement, how do you find guilty?" The word hit like thunder. Ethan's breath caught. "On the count of wire fraud, how do you find guilty?" "On the count of falsifying business records, how do you find guilty? Guilty, guilty, guilty. 7 counts, 7 guilty verdicts." Richard's face went pale. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder, but Richard shrugged it off. Judge Delgado thanked the jury and dismissed them. Then she turned to Richard. "Mr. Sterling, you've been found guilty on all counts. Sentencing is scheduled for December 15th. Until then, you'll remain in custody. Bailiff, remove the defendant." Richard turned as they led him away. His eyes found Ethan's across the courtroom. Not apologetic, not remorseful, just rage. Pure, impotent rage. Ethan stared back, didn't flinch, didn't look away. Let Richard see exactly what his cruelty had created. A man who'd risen from the ashes. A man who'd won. The courtroom erupted the moment Richard disappeared. Reporters shouting questions, supporters cheering. Jennifer hugged Ethan tight. "We did it. We actually did it." "You did it," Ethan corrected. "I just told the truth." The truth was enough. Grace was crying. Quiet tears of relief and vindication. Thomas had his arm around her. Patricia was there too, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. Outside the courthouse, cameras swarmed. Jennifer made a brief statement praising the jury and the justice system. Then she turned it over to Ethan. He stepped to the microphone. Flashbulbs exploded. "I'm not going to talk long. I just want to say this. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about validation. For 7 people whose careers Richard Sterling destroyed, for families who went hungry because he stole their security, for everyone who's ever been punished for doing the right thing. Today the system worked. Today we won." A reporter called out. "How does it feel to finally get justice?" "It feels like I can breathe again, like maybe the world isn't as broken as I thought." "What's next for you?" "Same thing I've been doing, helping people, building programs that matter, showing my daughter that kindness isn't just power, it's everything." He stepped away from the microphone. Grace was waiting. "You want to get out of here?" "More than anything." They slipped out a side entrance. Thomas drove them to a quiet restaurant where they could actually talk without cameras in their faces. Over dinner, the relief finally hit. Ethan felt tears coming and didn't fight them. 6 months of fear and rage and hope all releasing at once. "I didn't think we'd win," he admitted. "Part of me thought he'd walk away like people like him always do." "People like him don't always win," Grace said quietly. "Sometimes the good guys win too. We just have to fight harder for it." Thomas raised his glass. To fighting harder and to winning. They toasted, drank, laughed for the first time in weeks. Ethan picked up Lily from Mrs. Chen's at 8. She ran to him, arms wide. "Did you win, Daddy?" "We won, baby. The bad guy is going to jail." "Good. Bad guys should go to jail. That's the rule." "You're absolutely right." That night, Ethan tucked Lily into bed and told her everything. How the jury said guilty. How Richard would go to prison. How justice was real after all. "I told you heroes always win," Lily said sleepily. "You did. You were right." "I'm always right. I'm almost 6. Ethan kissed her forehead. "Sleep tight, my genius daughter." "Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, baby. More than anything." He stood in her doorway watching her sleep, just like he'd done 1,000 times before. But this time felt different. This time felt like a door closing on one chapter and opening on another. His phone buzzed. "Grace. Sentencing in 3 weeks. Jennifer says he's looking at 15 to 20 years. "It's really over," Ethan typed back. "Thank you. For everything. I mean it. You saved my life first. I just returned the favor. We're even now, not even close. But we're getting there." The 3 weeks before sentencing passed in a strange calm. The media frenzy died down. Work at Community Solutions ramped up. The national expansion was approved. 15 cities to start. Eventually 50, 100, however many it took. Ethan hired 30 new staff members, opened regional offices, created training programs. The mobile pantries were feeding 10,000 families a week now. The job training programs had placed 200 people in permanent employment. Mental health resources were reaching rural communities that had been ignored for decades. Grace visited the office one afternoon with baby Gabriel. He was 4 months old now. Big eyes, curious, calm. "He looks like you," Ethan said. "Poor kid. He got my stubborn streak too. Refuses to sleep unless he's being held." Lily was the same way. Sarah and I took turns walking her around the apartment at 2 a.m. Grace smiled. "I think about Sarah sometimes. What she'd say about all this. She'd say, 'I told you so.' She always believed kindness mattered, even when I doubted it." Smart woman. The smartest. Lily came running over from where she'd been coloring with Amanda's kids. "Is that the baby? Can I hold him?" Grace looked at Ethan. He nodded. "Sit down first. Support his head. There you go." Lily held Gabriel like he was made of glass. Her face lit up with wonder. "He's so tiny. Was I this tiny?" "Tinier?" Ethan said. "You were only 6 pounds. Wow, no wonder you were scared." "Terrified. But your mom was brave enough for both of us." Lily looked up at Grace. "Thank you for saving my daddy. He's the best daddy in the whole world." Grace's eyes filled. "He really is. You're lucky to have him." "I know. And he's lucky to have me." Also true. December 15th arrived cold and clear. Sentencing day. Ethan debated whether to go. He'd already won. Richard was already convicted. Did he need to see the final blow? But Jennifer called that morning. "You should be there. All the victims should. Let him see what he destroyed. Let the judge see it too." So Ethan went. Grace went. Tom Chen from accounting went. 4 other former employees went. They sat together in the gallery. A united front. Richard was brought in wearing the same orange jumpsuit. He'd lost more weight. Looked older, smaller, like prison was eating him alive from the inside. Judge Delgado didn't waste time. Mr. Sterling, you've been convicted of 7 felonies. Before I impose sentence, does the prosecution wish to make a statement? Jennifer stood. Your Honor, the people request that the court hear from the victims. Proceed. One by one they spoke. Tom Chen talked about losing his career and his home. Maria Gonzalez talked about her kids going hungry while Richard stole their security. James Park talked about the shame of being fired and blacklisted in his industry. Then Ethan stood. Your Honor, Richard Sterling didn't just steal money. He stole hope. When he fired me for helping a pregnant woman, he sent a message. That compassion is weakness. That integrity is punishable. That people like him can destroy people like me without consequences. Ethan looked directly at Richard. But he was wrong, because I'm still here. I rebuilt my life, found purpose, became the person my daughter always believed I was. And Richard, he's in chains, so I guess we know who really won. He sat down. Grace squeezed his hand. Judge Delgado turned to Richard. Mr. Sterling, do you wish to address the court? Richard stood. His lawyer whispered something, but Richard waved him off. I made mistakes. I accept that. But I didn't deserve this. Didn't deserve to be destroyed by a vindictive employee and his... He stopped himself. This whole thing is a witch hunt. I was doing my job, making tough calls. That's what managers do. Judge Delgado's expression hardened. Mr. Sterling, you embezzled over $400,000, destroyed multiple careers to cover your crimes, attempted to flee the country, and now you stand here showing no remorse whatsoever. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. She opened a folder. Mr. Sterling, I hereby sentence you to 20 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole for at least 12 years. You'll also pay full restitution of $417,000 to Whitmore Enterprises plus fines and penalties. Bailiff removed the defendant. 20 years. The courtroom gasped. Richard's face went white. Your Honor, please. You had your chance to show remorse. You chose arrogance instead. Sentence is final. Remove him. They dragged Richard away. This time he was screaming. This is wrong. I didn't deserve this. You can't do this. But they could, and they did. Outside, Jennifer was mobbed by reporters. She handled them expertly, praising the judge and the victims and the system. Ethan slipped away with Grace. They walked to a nearby coffee shop and sat in a quiet corner. 20 years, Grace said. I thought maybe 10, 15 at most. He earned every day of it. I know, but still, 20 years is a lifetime. So is what he did to us. Tom Chen lost his house. Maria's kids went hungry. I thought I'd lose Lily. Those are lifetimes too. He just has to answer for them. Grace nodded. You're right. I just never wanted to be the kind of person who celebrates someone going to prison. We're not celebrating. We're relieved. There's a difference. They drank their coffee in comfortable silence. After a while, Grace spoke again. What now, Ethan? The trial's over. Richard's in prison. What do you do with all that anger you've been carrying? Let it go, I guess. Focus on the work. On Lily. On building something that matters. He paused. What about you? The scandal's over. Board's back on your side. Stock's at an all-time high. What's next for Grace Whitmore? Same thing. Build programs, help people. Make sure what happened to you never happens to anyone else. She smiled. Maybe take some actual maternity leave. Gabriel won't be a baby forever. Good plan. You deserve rest. So do you. I'll rest when I'm dead. That's what worries me. Ethan, you've been running on fumes for months. When's the last time you took a real day off? Lake weekend with Lily. That was 2 months ago. Time flies when you're changing the world. Grace leaned forward. I'm serious. You're going to burn out. Take December off. Spend it with Lily. Let the team handle things. They're capable. I can't just disappear. You can. You're the director. Direct them to handle things without you for 3 weeks. That's an order from your boss. Ethan laughed. When did you become my boss? I've always been your boss. I just let you forget it sometimes. So Ethan took December off. Not completely. He still checked emails and took calls. But he didn't go to the office, didn't work 16-hour days, just focused on being Lily's dad. They decorated for Christmas, put up a tree that leaned slightly left, but Lily declared was perfect. Made cookies that burned but tasted good anyway. Watched holiday movies and drank hot chocolate and pretended the outside world didn't exist. On Christmas morning, Lily woke him at 6 a.m. Santa came. Daddy, wake up? Santa came. They opened presents in their pajamas. Lily got books and art supplies and a new bike that was probably too big, but she'd grow into it. Ethan got a tie from Lily that had cartoon cats on it, and a card that said, "World's Best Hero Dad." He cried reading it. Happy tears this time. You like it? Lily asked anxiously. I love it, baby. It's perfect. I made it myself. Mrs. Chen helped with the spelling. It's the best present I've ever gotten. They spent Christmas Day at Mrs. Chen's with her extended family. 15 people crammed into a small house eating too much food and laughing too loud. It was chaotic and warm and exactly what Ethan needed. That night, after Lily crashed from sugar overload, Ethan sat on their apartment balcony looking at the city lights. His phone rang. Grace. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Grace. How's Gabriel? Exhausting, amazing, both at once. How's Lily? Same, she's asleep in a pile of wrapping paper and new books. Sounds perfect. It is. Thank you for making me take time off. I needed this. We all need time to remember why we do what we do. For me, it's Gabriel. For you, it's Lily. The work matters, but they matter more. Sarah used to say something similar, that I could save the world, but if I lost Lily in the process, I'd lose everything that mattered. Smart woman. The smartest. They talked for an hour. About Gabriel's first Christmas. About the national expansion launching in January. About Richard serving his first weeks in prison. About how strange it felt to finally be on the other side of everything. Do you ever think about that morning on the highway? Grace asked. How different things would be if you just kept driving. Every day. But I don't regret stopping. Neither do I. That morning changed both our lives. For the better. Definitely for the better. New Year's came. Ethan and Lily watched fireworks from their balcony. At midnight, Lily made a wish. What'd you wish for? Ethan asked. Can't tell you. It won't come true. That's the rule, huh? Yep, that's the rule. And January brought the national expansion. Ethan traveled to 15 cities in 3 weeks, met local teams, toured facilities, helped launch programs. Everywhere he went, people knew his story, wanted to help, wanted to be part of something bigger. In Chicago, a retired teacher named Margaret donated her entire pension to fund a reading program. In Phoenix, a construction worker named Carlos volunteered every weekend to build community gardens. In Seattle, a teenager named Maya started a youth coalition to fight food insecurity. The movement was real and growing. By March, the mobile pantries were operating in 30 cities, job training programs in 20, mental health resources in 15. The impact was measurable, quantifiable, real. Grace visited one of the Chicago sites in late March, walked through with Ethan, watched families line up for fresh food and dignity. This is what I dreamed about, she said quietly. When I started my company, this exact thing, using business to heal instead of harm. You're doing it. We're doing it. Because you showed me how. That morning on the highway, you reminded me why any of this matters. An elderly woman approached them, thin, worn, but smiling. Are you Grace Whitmore? I am. I wanted to thank you. My husband and I have been coming here for 2 months. We can afford real food again. Vegetables. Protein. We're eating better than we have in years. Tears filled her eyes. You saved our lives. Grace's voice cracked. You're very welcome. But thank Ethan too. This is his program. The woman turned to Ethan. You're the man who got fired for helping someone. I read about you. That's me. Well, you're a hero. Both of you are. After she left, Grace wiped her eyes. This is why. This right here. This is why everything was worth it. Yeah, it really is. They walked back to the car. Grace's driver was waiting. Ethan, can I ask you something personal? Always. Are you happy? Really happy? Or are you still carrying all that anger from Richard and everything that happened? Ethan thought about it. Was he happy? 6 months ago, the answer would have been complicated. But now, I'm happy. Not because everything's perfect, but because I'm doing work that matters with people I care about. Because Lily's thriving. Because I wake up every day with purpose instead of fear. So yeah, I'm happy. Good. You deserve to be. So do you. Grace smiled. I'm getting there. Gabriel helps. This work helps. You help. Glad I can help. They hugged goodbye. Not the quick professional hug of colleagues, the real hug of friends who'd been through war together and survived. That night, Ethan tucked Lily into bed like always, but this time felt different. Lighter somehow. Daddy, are you still a hero? Why do you ask? Because you look happy. Heroes in movies always look sad, but you look happy. That's because this isn't a movie, baby. Real heroes get to be happy sometimes. Good. I want you to always be happy. I'll do my best. And Daddy? Yeah. I'm proud of you, for helping that lady, for getting fired, for fighting back, for winning. I'm proud of all of it. Ethan's throat tightened. Thank you, sweetheart. That means everything to me. You're welcome. Now can you leave the nightlight on? The shadows are weird tonight. Of course. He left the nightlight on, stood in the doorway one more time, watching his daughter sleep, thinking about Sarah, about Grace, about Richard in prison, about all the families they were helping, about the long, strange road that had led him here. Sometimes when you stop to help someone else, you find the road that leads you home. Sarah had been right. Kindness was power. Not because it always worked out, not because it was easy, but because it was right. And right things, even when they cost everything, were still right. Ethan closed Lily's door softly, went to the kitchen, made tea, sat at the table with his laptop. There were messages from the Seattle team, questions about the new training program, budget requests from Phoenix, scheduling conflicts in Boston. He answered them all. Patient, thorough, present. This was his life now. Not perfect, not easy, but purposeful. And that was enough, more than enough. His phone buzzed. Grace again. Gabriel just said his first word. He said, Mama. I'm crying. Ethan smiled and typed back. That's beautiful. Congratulations. Thank you. For everything. Not just the work. For reminding me that good people still exist. Right back at you. Get some sleep, Ethan. Big day tomorrow. Always a big day. That's what makes it worth it. He finished his tea, closed the laptop, checked on Lily one more time, then went to bed. The nightmares were gone now. The fear, the rage, the sense that the world was broken beyond repair. Maybe it wasn't broken. Maybe it was just bent. And maybe with enough people pulling together they could straighten it out. One highway stop at a time. One fired employee at a time. One family served at a time. Kindness was power. Justice was possible. Heroes were real. And sometimes, just sometimes, they got their happy ending after all. Ethan fell asleep smiling, dreaming of highways and rain and pregnant strangers and 5-year-old daughters who believed in heroes. Because they did exist, not in capes or masks, but in beat-up Hondas on rainy mornings. In conference rooms fighting for what's right. In courtrooms seeking justice. In food pantries feeding the hungry. Everywhere people chose compassion over convenience. Everywhere people stopped when they could have kept driving. That's where heroes lived. In the small moments, the hard choices, the times when doing right cost everything, and in the end, those heroes always won. Maybe not quickly, maybe not easily, but eventually, always they won. Because that's the rule, and rules matter. Just ask Lily, she'd tell you. Heroes always win. That's the rule. And she was right. She was always right. She was almost 6 after all.